Got some menage a trois, as my French viewers will appreciate, um, because it's New Year's and I need some champagne. And it's not really champagne. Sorry, I know now I offended my French viewers. I'm sorry. It's not champagne. It's sparkling wine. Oh, that was frightening. Okay, that's some real champagne right there. I mean, God damn it! I'm so sorry. I'm really fucking this up. That was some real sparkling wine. Definitely not real champagne. For that, it would have to be from Champagne, a region in France, right? If I'm not mistaken. Very possible I am. This is Italian sparkling wine. Anyways, we're talking about circumcision today, as every day. I missed yesterday because I drove here. Well, actually, I missed yesterday and the day before, didn't I? No, just yesterday. I'm losing track of time. Yesterday, I drove here, I think, to Portland. I'm now in Portland at a fancy, good old Motel 6, and celebrating New Year's Eve while I wait to figure out which apartment I'm going to move into. This is delicious. So join me for this New Year's Eve call as we plan out world domination of antagonals, which are closely related. I believe. Let's start out with that actually topic. It's a good topic. You know, I really do think that this is the biggest issue in the world, whether or not we mutilate children's genitals. It affects over 1 billion people, a massive number of the population, which all Islam, all Jews, Americans. I think there really is a good potential that this could start World War III. You know, trying to outlaw or trying to end genital mutilation. Outlaw is definitely a pretty inflammatory. It's more about education, in my view. You know, I think it also has the potential to unify the world in a cause that unites us all. Not mutilating the genitals of children. Like, what's more important than that? It's literally the most exciting thing in the world that could be happening, is that we're finally recognizing children's rights. The last and most oppressed group of all time is children, right? You know, there's minorities that have been oppressed to varying degrees throughout time, but children have always been oppressed. They've always been ignored as a valid group of human beings who has rights, who deserves to be treated as human, as autonomous, as deserving of dignity. So I think it does have the chance to potentially unite the world and transform the world. If we treat our children with love from now on, like how you're treated in childhood, how you are conditioned in childhood by how you're treated, determines how you then act in the rest of your life. There's literally nothing more important than treating children with love. And there's no less loving thing you could do to a child than mutilate its love organ and destroy its potential for sexual pleasure, or at least a massive amount of its potential for sexual pleasure. So, debate me. Someone argue the other point that no, it doesn't matter. I don't think there's any case for it, but I'm really curious if this stream is working at all too. I'm in a cheap hotel room right now with not high-speed internet at all. I can't afford the high-speed internet. It's way too much. Maybe I should have done that before I started this, because you can buy like an hour for $5 or $10 or something. Maybe I should have done that. I don't know if this is coming across at all. If you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook and this is coming across or not, let me know. how this is looking right now, because I have no idea. I have no way of getting that feedback. If this is actually coming through. Oops. Yeah, what else should we talk about today? I'm trying to open my YouTube so I can see if anyone's on there. Oh my goodness. Work computer. Work. Okay, I'm going to go put this wine in the fridge so that it doesn't get warm. I'll be right back. That took longer than I thought. One unfortunate thing about live streams is that oh, we do have YouTube. I forgot I do have the chat on here even if my YouTube isn't opening. The video is a little jittery, I've been told. Well, damn. How's the audio? Is the audio okay? Or is the audio also jittery? Would be my question. Happy New Year. Hey! Foreskin and clitori for all in 2021. My room number is 121, which happens to be 11 times 11. So that's auspicious. I really like Portland. Is the video jittery? Or is the audio jittery? Also, can anyone tell me? Audio is good? Okay, well then you're just gonna have to deal with the video. I'm sorry. That sucks, but you can try to join me if you want on the call. Call in on the link that's in the description of this video. Should be one of the first things up. Yeah, I'm tired. I've been driving around all day looking at apartments or looking at apartment locations. And yeah, trying to find my new home here in Portland. I really like this place. It's really wet, which fits me somehow. Not because I'm a female who's turned on, but simply because I need a lot of moisture, which is my favorite word, by the way. I need a lot of moisture to be happy as a human being. Like I love rain. Like I could have it be raining all day and just be totally happy. So, yeah, what else to talk about? I don't know why this video unfocuses so much on here. There. I'm tired. That's one thing I could talk about. Did my first Intact Community Group hosted a couple days ago. Check it out. It's on Facebook if you haven't seen it yet. It was awesome. And still waiting for feedback from members. Oh, got 2 now. There are 3 more, I think, left. Wow, this internet really is not great. Close out some things, see if that helps. I don't think it will, but try. Someone call in. I'm kind of boring right now because I'm too tired to think of anything interesting. Cool. From Kyle and Robert. Still waiting on the rest of you. Send in your feedback forms. Okay. Genital mutilation is bad. That's what I keep coming back to. It's like, it's weird that that's such a controversial message, right? But I think it's important to say that circumcision of males in particular here in the West is non-consensual genital cutting, which to me is by definition genital mutilation. If you're cutting off part of someone else's genitals without their consent, that's genital mutilation. It says don't stop doing that. It's bad. So is intersex genital cutting is also bad. We don't need to correct anyone's genitals just because they don't look like we think they're supposed to. It's fucked up. Stop doing it. Thank you, Facebook user. I wish it would tell me who the Facebook commenter is. It does not on here. It was Gwendolyn. Thank you, Gwendolyn. Good to hear from you. If you want, you can call in. There's an on here. If you want. It's in the video description. I think you have to tap see more, and then it will be a thing that you tap, and you can join the call. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. It's really traumatic and horrible, and it's hard to cope with for people who have experienced it. At least people who confront it, right? Because so many people just don't even have the wherewithal to face the fact that they've been genitally mutilated. They just block it out and are like, oh no, it must have been for a good reason. It's so much easier to do that, and there's a lot of social support for it because it's been so habituated into our culture. So yeah, I totally don't have enough energy to do this video. Someone should call in. Hi, Jake, and call in. Call into the show by tapping on the link in the description. Not the first one that's https://restream.io. I think that's just like them trying to get you to buy their software. It's the link after that where I say call in to join the video on Restream. And then you click on the link after that and you can talk to me. Because can't at the moment because the kids just fell asleep. I have to be quite. Have to be quite? Quite what? Quite quiet? Gwendolyn has to be quiet. That was from Gwendolyn. I have to change back and forth to Facebook to see it. And then she posted cockfight for some reason. Yeah, I'd love to have Brett or Luke or anyone else from Cockfight who wants to join the call. please join the call. If that's what you were implying. I'm not sure what you were implying by posting their thing on my thing, but I would love to have them on. Whoa, I have 110 members now. That's pretty cool. Most of those are because of Sophie. Thank you, Sophie. I know you're not listening to this probably right now because, well, maybe you are. I don't know, actually. See, France is like 8 hours ahead? Probably not. Also, Sophie doesn't speak English great because she's French. She speaks English much better than I speak French. But she invited like a shit ton of people to this group. If you have any good intactivists who are like super awesome, or at least just like good, then invite them to Intact Community Group. If they're like really crappy intactivists and they're annoying and stupid or like shitty, then don't invite them. But if you know any great intactivists, then please invite them to Intact Community, the group. Quit. Oh. I'm being told to quit. Someone told me to quit. Who told me to quit? Someone book said, quit, Jordan. Quit. It was Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn said I should quit. I'm sorry. She also loves French. Right? I'm French. I'm like, like 30% French or something like that. Like a lot of French. I'm super French. I'm more French than anything else. It's the best language, as we all know. Spell check is bad. Gwendolyn, you can't spell check a word that's spelled correctly if it's the wrong word. I can't speak English either. You can't, if the word is a correct word, it will not spell correct it, even if it was not the right word that you wanted it to be, because quit is a word. Anyways, intactivism. North Carolina, there's a Medicaid thing going on. Don't know if y'all know about this. Anthony LaSquadra discovered that in North Carolina, they're trying to pass a law or change the law so that you can mutilate your child's genitals to prevent HIV. Only males. They're not trying to do this for female genital mutilation, even though there's equally compelling evidence that female genital mutilation reduces HIV. But for some reason, they didn't decide to do that. They're just doing male. So they're trying to say, Medicaid can, I don't know what the current status is. I haven't heard from Anthony Squadro in the last 3 weeks. But yeah, last time I heard, they were trying to push it through, and Anthony Squadro was trying to garner North Carolina support to stop it so that you can't. And I don't know if I fully finished explaining this, but they're trying to make it so that you can use HIV prophylaxis, so preventing HIV, as a reason to circumcise male children. Because right now you can't, because there's no medical necessity. So Medicaid won't pay for something that's not medically necessary. They're trying to say, oh yeah, but it is medical necessity because they're preventing HIV, so it's definitely medically necessary, and therefore we can do it. And that potentially would open the door for a bunch of other states to also mutilate children's genitals for HIV prophylaxis, supposedly, which is messed up for a lot of reasons. Like a lot of reasons that I don't even want to get into all of it, but it doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's all I know about it at present. Yes, both Kanki et al. And Stallings et al. Both suggested HIV transmission reduction in circumcised women. Oh, I didn't know there were two studies. Right. So it's like, even if there is a reduction in HIV transmission for mutilating children's genitals, that doesn't justify mutilating children's genitals. I think I like how Carter Steinhoff says it. Even if there was a 100% reduction in all STDs, in all sexually transmitted diseases by mutilating my genitals, um, I still wouldn't do it. I'd still use a condom. I'd still just say, like, fuck, I want to actually feel when I have sex. I want the full sexual experience. I'll be careful. I'll use condoms. I don't want to cut off part of my dick, the best part of my dick, the most sensitive part of my cock, no matter how much STDs it prevents. And the evidence is pretty poor that it does prevent HIV. But whether female genital mutilation or male genital mutilation prevents HIV, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't justify mutilating children's genitals, no matter how many STDs it prevents. They can do that as adults if they want to, but it's unbelievably fucked up to do that to a child for any reason. People say it reduces HIV, but why does America have way higher STD rates than non-cutting countries? I don't know. That is interesting, isn't it? That the U.S. has the highest rate of STDs. It has like a 5 times higher rate of STDs than like most other genitally intact countries, and we're the only ones who are routinely mutilating our children's genitals. You'd expect it to be the opposite if it prevented STDs, right? You'd think we would have a lower STD rate, not a way higher STD rate. Greg says, it's outrageous. The entire point of these Medicaid lawsuits is to narrowly define the cases where spending government money is allowed. HIV prophylaxis is a total free call, or a total free for all. You can circumcise everybody. Right. Yeah. I read that with poor emphasis. But correct. The um, Medicaid is only supposed to allow medically necessary surgeries, and HIV is not. HIV prophylaxis is not a medically necessary reason for newborn children. Besides the many harms of genital mutilation, which have been documented in many studies. So, champagne. I'm just going to call it champagne because it's good enough. To celebrate a new year of intact genitalia for all children, regardless of gender. Yeah. My son is 4 years old and he is perfect. I'm so glad someone had informed me. It's truly a no-brainer. Well, that was a very contradictory statement, I have to admit. If someone informed you, then it wouldn't be a no-brainer because you would already not need someone to inform you. I'll just point out. Sorry, I just like to be a dick sometimes. And my Facebook is frozen, so I don't know who that was from. I assume it's from Gwendolyn again. I don't know. Still isn't loading. Oh no, yeah, it was from Gwendolyn. It is a no-brainer though, and we do need to inform people. It's both, right? It seems like it should be obvious to not mutilate children's genitals. Like, no fucking duh. Like, why would you cut off part of your kid's penis or clitoris? Like, I guess if you don't have one, then you don't know why not to cut it off. Like, if you believe in evolution at all, then there in the first place, you know? And especially on your genitals, it's like that's the most pleasurable part of your body. Like, you want to be really careful with that, not to like do anything that might harm it. They're like dotted line. You're cutting off an unknown amount of tissue from a child, from its genitals. Like, literally, there isn't any stupider thing or more fucked up thing that you could do in the whole world. Like, it's impossible. You just can't imagine anything. What can you imagine that's more fucked up than strapping down a newborn child, the most vulnerable, impressionable being in the world, and doing the most traumatic thing to it that you can imagine? Ripping into the flesh of the most pleasurable part of its body, the most sensitive part of its body, and slowly, gradually ripping it to shreds so that it will forever not be able to experience pleasure and lovemaking as it's supposed to, permanently hampering this child's sexual function for the rest of its entire life. You literally can't think of anything worse. It seems obvious, right? And somehow people, you know, that's the thing, right? It's so horrible. It's so awful that this happens that we have to come up with some like layering over of excuses and justifications and myths to pretend like, oh no, it's okay, it was good. There's reasons to do it. There's medical reasons and culture, and it's just what we do, and it's cleaner. And there's like 8,000 different reasons, right? He has to look like his dad, and it's ugly that way, and it smells bad, and it prevents a bunch of STDs, and in the locker room, he's got to look like everyone else, or he's gonna get made fun of, and uh, women don't like it, so. And by the way, this all applies to both genders. So flip the script, and everything I just said applies to female genital mutilation equally. I'm not necessarily just talking about male circumcision, although that's what I often focus on. Not just more pleasurable, but the most important organ in reproduction, which drives evolution. Every placental mammal has a foreskin. Now, I'm going to argue with you right there, Gregory Mountshot, because yes, every mammal does have a foreskin. But if you look at the work of the not Australia, but the country right next to it, what's his face? New Zealand, the New Zealander guy. He named the ridge band. Well, actually, he didn't name it. He was going to call it, or sorry, he named the frenular delta, but actually that was um, another intactivist by the name of Jason Fairfield, who helped him name it because he was going to name it something else. And then Jason was like, no, that's stupid. Anyways, he looked at the foreskin and was like, compared it with other mammals, right? And there's a paper on this that's really good. It's like, it goes into detail of like how actually the male foreskin of human beings is very, very radically different from most other mammals. Most other mammals have a foreskin that's actually kind of what the myths go with. Oh yeah, the monkey studies. Yeah, the foreskin is more relevant to humans than it is to other mammals and even the great apes. Okay, you do know. Yeah, I don't like the argument that it's like, oh, every mammal has a foreskin. That's true, but the human foreskin is actually really, really special. It evolved like to be extremely erogenous in a way that most mammals actually, the foreskin isn't that sensitive. The glands is more important for most mammals. For male humans, it became reversed, and the glands isn't that sensitive. It's kind of pressure sensing. It senses pain and pressure. The glands doesn't really actually do that much in human beings, though. All the nerve endings switched around in a very, very short, rapid evolutionary time span, which indicates that this is extremely important to human sexuality, which is, again, like really interesting because humans are one of the only beings who have um, who have sex for sexual pleasure and for relational issue or reasons, even if they are not trying to reproduce. They have sex just for fun. They have sex because it feels good and to make the relationships better. And humans also are the only ones with extremely sensitive, specialized foreskins that are like extremely densely innervated with fine touch nerve endings. In the way that most more of a glands that's innervated. Humans have a foreskin which is extremely innervated and erogenous, and it evolves in a very rapid time span, which is strange. It also would have been okay. Can you hear me now? Probably because it looks like oh, and now my video's back too, and now my video's gone again. This is very unfortunate. This is true intact radio today because there's no video, so it's just sound. Hopefully you can hear me now. Let me know. Can you hear me? Otherwise, I'm not going to keep talking. Okay, yes, you can hear me. Okay, so I'm just going to do sound right now because the video is fucked. So if someone wants to call in, I'm like super tired. I drove like 15 hours yesterday. Actually, I drove partly the night before that too, to like 3 in the morning. You can hear me? Yes, I'm aware. I'm just telling you that I'm tired, and Greg or 455 Buick or anyone else, if you want to call in and talk, I'm like so dead right now. I'm having trouble maintaining coherent streams of thought. So, um, although I know Restream last time wasn't great, maybe if we just do audio, it'll be better. So if you want to call in and just have an audio conversation, please call in. There should be a thing in the description, whether on Facebook or on YouTube. Not the first link, which is to the Restream site, but the one after that, where I say join me, and then there's a link, and you can talk to me. Maybe I need to do this during the day because no one's calling in right now. Call in, call, do it, do it. I just did it at night tonight because I had a bunch of stuff to do during the day today, and it's New Year's Eve. Mm. I'm drinking champagne right now, which is fun. So if you want to drink champagne with me, then buy some champagne and we'll be drinking champagne at the same time. It'll be like when you orgasm together, kind of. You know, when you're like, okay, I'm gonna come, and then the person's like, okay, and then you both come at the same time, except for with champagne instead of orgasm. I mean, we could do the orgasm thing too, I guess, if you want, but I don't know. I'm a little bit loopy. If you want to call in, then call in. Everybody's out partying. Gregory is really tired right now. I understand. I am also very tired right now. Well, afternoon, evening. Everybody's out partying, says Buick. Yeah. Um, I already said that. Okay, well then I will try to continue talking here. I have to go to bed soon, but I'm going to talk for a little bit more. North Carolina, we talked about. I don't know if any of you have heard of ICASM, International Coalition for the Abandonment of Sexual Mutilation, or the Bodyguards. It's a new group. And yeah, it's been through some controversy lately. But apart from that controversy, which has been really fucking annoying, controversy around men's rights and anti-feminism and all that stuff, which are interesting questions, but kind of not really. I'm interested in intactivism. Men's rights is like pretty peripheral in my worldview. It's not important. It's just like, to me, protecting children is way more important than protecting men. It's like, as a man, I can protect myself and I can take care of myself and I can figure shit out. Children are being genitally mutilated every day, right? Literally every day, thousands and thousands of children are being genitally mutilated. Like, I think it's once every 3 seconds a child is having its genitals mutilated. It's like constant, right? And so anyways, to me it's more of a children's rights issue. I'm not really just campaigning for men. I think that's kind of a losing argument anyways. If you say, I'm campaigning for all children, that's a lot better optics, and people are like, oh cool, like females. You're like, yes, females and males and intersex, all children deserve to be genitally intact and not genitally mutilated. And then the interesting point is immediately, oh wait, why males? Well, because the foreskin is erogenous and basically just as valuable as the clitoris. So it's a good way to start that conversation. All children deserve protection from genital mutilation. Anyways, and there are a bunch of female victims of genital mutilation globally too. I tend to think more globally than locally, and I think that's a useful thing to do. If you want to have a big impact, then think globally. Where was it going with that? I'm really rambling pretty hardcore right now because I'm tired. ICASM, the Bodyguards, is another name for the same organization. I don't know why they renamed themselves that. I liked ICASM better. International Coalition for the Abandonment of Sexual Mutilation kind of has more of a like official ring to it, and it emphasizes what it actually is, which is an international coalition of organizations. It's like a bunch of different organizations that have banded together and are like, hey, we're going to end genital mutilation worldwide. There's people in France, there's people in Norway, there's people in Sweden, Denmark, the Netherlands, Australia. Gonna invite someone from Egypt this next week. I just invited an Egyptian person. There's other Muslims, there's Jews, there's Americans. I think people from a bunch of different countries have joined. Germany, but I can't remember all of them. So it's really exciting because this organization is kind of unifying all of the voices from all of these, Britain, all of these different countries. Masi Manuka. I never know how to pronounce your name. Masi Manuka. Your first rant was already good 10 minutes ago. I'm looking forward to sharing it, maybe even translating it. Thank you. I don't remember what it was, what I ranted about, but I'm glad it had some benefit. I promise I could say it more coherently if I wasn't so tired, if I practiced a little bit, but glad at least the essence of what I'm trying to say is there. ICASM. It's cool. It's super cool. Michael Winnell is kind of leading it. He's a force. He's very energetic. He's a good guy and does a great job facilitating meetings, bringing together all these different people. And yeah, it's. I think we can expect good things from it. There's already been a lot of good things, but on the international front, right, having people from all around the world working on this one single cause is it's impressive. It's pretty cool. Uh, I don't think I was even aware of the fact that there's a lot of people who are really at a high level doing really good work around challenging genital mutilation in all these different countries. Male genital mutilation is kind of the main focus of the group, although it's not intended to be. It's equally uh, aiming to also address female genital mutilation and intersex genital mutilation. Here's my view on why I address male genital mutilation primarily. It's simply a logistical and strategical decision. It's not because male genital mutilation is any more important than any other kind of genital mutilation. Um, Originally, that was part of why, because I was actually addressing my own genital mutilation. But as I've started to think more critically about it, it's like, well, if I want to unite everyone around the cause of ending genital mutilation, there's actually more people working on genital integrity, genital autonomy for boys than there are for anything else. I think most most genital autonomy advocates are actually advocates for boys, which we often call intactivists, although I use intactivist to refer to all genital autonomy advocates. Um, Especially in the United States, there's literally thousands, maybe millions of people who are like really actively trying to do something or want to do something about ending male genital cutting. And it's a very massive issue in this country, right? There aren't that many people in the United States who are actually trying to end female genital mutilation because it's not a big issue here. And so people don't really think about it very much. It's like, oh yeah, it's happening somewhere and it's horrible and hopefully it gets fixed. But there's only a very small handful of people actually actively fighting female genital mutilation in the United States. Um, there are many more people fighting male genital mutilation. And so my view is that if we can unite all of those people and and actually end genital mutilation completely, 100% in the United States, ban all genital mutilation of male, female, and intersex, um, then that would be the biggest possible first step we could take toward ending genital mutilation globally. Is to, in the United States, have sort of a mass scale movement to end uh, all genital mutilation, especially male genital mutilation, which is, the thing that's occurring the most and having the most negative impact on a million baby boys every year in the United States. There's barely any female genital mutilation occurring in the U.S. It's a very tiny percent of girls. And also, there's a much larger percent of intersex, but there's just so few intersex children, period, that it's also a very small percentage of the total children who are suffering from intersex genital mutilation. So that's why I address male genital mutilation so much, just simply because there's already so many people fighting it. And I think if we can corral all of those people and really unify that community, there's a lot of potential to then segue that success into a recognition of all children's right to genital autonomy and as well as children's rights more broadly, which I think is also under-recognized, as I mentioned at the beginning of this call. If we could use ending child genital mutilation as sort of a a foot in the door for other children's rights, I think that would be the greatest boon for humanity that's actually possible on on planet Earth right now. A lot of the reason why humanity's so fucked up is because we don't treat our children with dignity and love and respect. And if we did, that would totally transform humanity. So, to me, uh, addressing male circumcision, addressing um, that market is an in to all the other forms of global transformation that are possible. Um, oh my goodness, I'm so tired. That was a good little, like a little speech there. I feel like I mostly expressed what I was trying to say. If anyone wants to call in, please call in. I think I may have started. Why can't I switch my account right now? My YouTube is completely frozen. Um, I'm trying to find out if there's anyone actually watching this right now, because I can't really tell. And yeah, YouTube is just totally shut down. I can't even load it. So I'm probably gonna end this in a minute here. This has been fun. Um, yeah. I wish this was more interactive. I'm gonna have to do this during the day again because at night no one is calling in and I'm not getting any comments right now. Is there anyone watching this? I'm just gonna ask. Please let me know. Are you watching this in the comments of wherever you're watching this? No one is commenting. I'm gonna assume no one is watching this right now. I'm sure maybe someone will watch it later, but I hope not because this has been a pretty lame video. You know what I've realized is that I'm really shitty at making videos when I'm tired. I'm just not I'm not very good at talking. Highway Corsair said, "Great stream," and Gregory Melchuk said, "I'm listening to it. Hopefully you can get more views in the day." There's 4. Oh, I guess there are 4 people on YouTube at least. Okay. Well, cool. It wasn't all in vain then. I thought maybe people tuned out because I didn't see any comments. And I can't load YouTube, so I can't see it directly. Yeah. I'm probably gonna log off, guys. I'm so tired. I just can't. I can't produce anything of value at the moment. Let me before I go. Part of why I wanted to be on here tonight is because it's New Year's Eve, right? And it's like, oh, I just missed New Year's in Mountain Time. All of my Colorado fans, Happy New Year's! And whoever else is in Mountain Time, who I don't care about. Sorry, other Mountain Time people. I only care about Colorado. Happy New Year. Have a good night, Greg. I'm actually going to say one more thing, though, before I go, which is New Year's intentions for intactivism. What's your intention this year for ending genital mutilation and or achieving healing and restitution for victims of genital mutilation, which is equally valid and important in my opinion, especially for mobilizing the public, right? Because why would anyone who's a victim care if they're not going to get anything out of it? Hopefully they care because you can protect children from genital mutilation, which is a good enough reason. But if you're not motivated by that, then maybe we can achieve financial restitution and the regeneration of the genitals of victims who have been mutilated. I think that's totally realistic. So, what are your intentions for this year, 2021, ending and or healing psychologically, emotionally, physically, um, the victims of genital mutilation? Ending genital mutilation and healing genital mutilation. Do you have a New Year's resolution? I would encourage you to think about that right now because um, it's important. Gregory Malchuk says, My New Year's resolution. I intend to take this fight to state legislatures and to the street outside schools, churches, boys' sports league games, etc. Awesome, Greg. That is fantastic. I really look forward to seeing that. I really want to see this strategy in action to see how it goes. I also want to see state legislatures continue to be challenged. I think we'll have to challenge state legislatures dozens of times, perhaps hundreds of times, for it to work. But it starts with the first time. I mean, we've already done it a little bit, but we need to do it a hell of a lot more. So, hell yes. Massey says, "Well, it would be nice for it to be illegal." OFC. I don't know your new fangled slang because I'm getting up there. I'm 27 now, like old. But it would be nice for it to be illegal, but that's not a resolution. A resolution is how are you going to make it illegal, Massey? What step are you going to take? There are a million different steps, and it may just be informing more people about it. In fact, there's a good argument to be made that we have to let people know why this is genital mutilation, why it's harmful before you can achieve anything else. But regardless, you have to actually make a resolution to take an action. What's the first action you would take to move forward towards that? Could be anything. Might even be some personal development or something you have to do. What's the first step, resolution you can make to move toward genital mutilation? So making it illegal isn't necessarily a resolution unless that's got some concrete action tied to it. Picked up a DTR 2 months ago. My New Year resolution is to wear it as much as possible. That's great. Foreskin restoration is super important. Definitely a form of healing. Everyone should be doing it. The more people do it, the more this trend picks up. The more people will be aware of it. Let's get some deep pocket celebrities involved. Again, what are you going to do to get deep pocket celebrities involved? There's a million different ways you could try to achieve that, but what's your actual action? What's your actual commitment right now to move forward and make that happen? Is what I would ask you for a 55 Buick. Highway Corsair. Here in Canada, mutilation rates are not nearly as high in the US, so I'm not sure if there are many activist groups here. James Lowen is there. I don't know what. So is the intact guy. He was in American Circumcision. What's his name? Uh, don't remember his name. The revolution will not be circumcised, I think is his thing. I Heart Foreskin shirt guy on American Circumcision. He's in Canada. I don't know what other organizations there are. I think there's something else in Canada, but I can't remember. So maybe you should start an organization. That could be your action step. I don't know. What would yeah, what is your resolution? No, Massey, not because it will still be happening, just because you have to have an actual action. What I'm asking, okay, one more time before I go, because I have to log off in a minute here. It's 11:11 in 30 seconds, at least in Western time zone, which is the magic time when you can wish for anything and it will happen. So um, let's make a resolution to what is the biggest action you could take in this next year or project that you could take on to move toward the end of genital mutilation and healing for victims of genital mutilation is the question I'm trying to ask. The action that you individually as a human being could take. If you are running an organization, it could be, that your organization could take. But if you're just an individual and trying to figure out right now, like what's my life, what's this all about? What is an action step that you could take to move this mission forward? Something concrete that you could do that if I was watching you, I'd say, oh, look, he's doing something. Some concrete action you could take to end genital mutilation or to find healing for victims. So that's the question I will leave you with. If you don't have an answer already, then take some time to think about it. It's really important. It's really powerful to set an intention. You know, um, if you really think carefully about what's the biggest impact you could possibly have, realistically at least, and maybe even a little bit unrealistically. It's like you have to think really fucking big if you want to make a big difference, and it's going to take a lot of fucking work to end genital mutilation because it's a massive problem, and there isn't enough work being done on it. Not even close. Not even remotely close. Not even remotely close to being close of enough people working to end genital mutilation. It's got to be way fucking bigger. So, what action could you take? What resolution will you take this new year to end genital mutilation trauma, uh, the trauma of genital mutilation, and heal its effects once and for all? Is my question to you all. I'm going to read these comments quick. Interview as many people as possible, protest around the world, create redemption movies, write a book. Those are all really good suggestions. I can't actually see who that is because I'm on RESTREAM. I really wish there was an integrated platform for this that was better because RESTREAM isn't perfect. Who said that? It was Gwendolyn. Awesome, Gwendolyn. That stuff is fantastic. Those are all great ideas. Interview as many people as possible, protest around the world, create redemption movies, write a book, and travel with Cockfight. Cockfight, great organization. Would love to hear from them sometime on this show. Gregory says Canadians should be pushing hard while there are still enough victims who can be stoked into rage over circumcision. Intact men mostly don't care. My video, an intact generation won't save us. Great point. Yes, Greg. As always, you are the smartest man in the room, and you are pointing at a great point here that enough victims. There have to be people upset about it. This is the point, kind of the point I was trying to make earlier, that the reason I focus on male genital mutilation, right, is because there are like 1 billion people in the world who are victimized by male genital mutilation. It's massive, and there are 100 million people victimized by male genital mutilation in the most wealthy, most powerful country in the world. There are millions of men who are dissatisfied with the fact that they're mutilated, who are unhappy about it, at least. I'd say there are hundreds of thousands of men who are extremely unhappy about it, who hate it, who literally it's the bane of their existence. It is the worst thing that has ever happened to them, and it has destroyed their life. Hundreds of thousands of men. If we could unite those men, those victims, to be outraged over their circumcision, yeah, I think that would that's an important point. The only way we're going to really turn this negative into a positive, which is the way I like to think of it, doing shadow work and taking our darkness and transforming it into light, is to take that trauma, that horror, and shine a light on it and transform it. Otherwise, it's just wasted. It's wasted torture. Torture is great for transformation and for making yourself better, but you have to face that torture and bring awareness to it. Canadian Foreskin Awareness Program. Yes. CanFAP. I knew it had something to do with can and FAP, but I couldn't remember the words. Yes. CanFAP. www.canfap.net. What's his name, though? Glenn Callender. I think that's it, right? I was thinking Glenn Powell earlier, but then I was like, no, that's not it. Glenn Powell's someone else. He was also someone. But Glenn Callender. I am a part of Cockfight. Who is a part of Cockfight? Sorry, I can't see Facebook comments. Oh, Gwendolyn, I didn't know that. Are you looking at a member? How many members are there of Cockfight? I don't know that much about Cockfight. I should get more involved. Highway Corsair, I brought it up with my sister who wants to have a child in the future, and she agrees that it's a horrible practice. That's good. I'm glad that your sister agrees on that. Too often I've heard that people, try to tell their siblings and they don't agree on it, and it's like, oh, fuck, this is literally like a fucking nightmare, like so many aspects of circumcision. My brother was the same way. I showed him, my introduction to him was to bring him to the premiere of American Circumcision, and he's like, yeah, this is bad. I'm going to restore. He's now a top 30 porn star, by the way. My bro. Restoring. That's significant, I think. Somehow. Top 30 porn star on Pornhub, which is like the 5th most popular internet site on the internet. Anyways, he's making like 10 grand a month in porn. Cool stuff. I brought it up with my sister who wants to have children. I already heard that one. Apathy is worse than anything. I can deal with people who say, but I like my circumcision. I'm fine. Such people are raw materials for a movement. However, I cannot deal with apathy. Great point, Greg. Again, very insightful. Yes. The thing with apathy, there's a psychological analysis of this. John Gottman is like the most important thinker on relationships, period. And he's shown that people who have just like total apathy toward each other in communication, basically their relationship is right about to end. They're like on the brink of their relationship being completely destroyed. If you want to extinguish any behavior, the best way is to completely not respond to it. Just don't answer. Just pretend like it's not happening. That's the best way to make someone stop doing something. If people are fighting, if they're like at each other's throats and hate each other and screaming at each other, their relationship is going to continue for a while. If you react to something and you are yelling at someone or attacking them or somehow fighting them, they're going to actually keep doing that thing, and much more likely than if you just don't respond to it at all. That's a fundamental principle in psychology, is that one of the most powerful ways to destroy anything is to just pretend it doesn't exist. And yeah, that's a problem with the movement. When people don't respond to us, we are completely done. We can't. It's the most effective way to end any kind of activism is to just ignore it. And so that's a problem for us. I don't know where that comment was going or responding to, but good point. It is definitely a good thing when people respond, because you can kind of use your intactivist Aikido and redirect their energy. But if there's no energy there, then you can't. It's really hard to do anything if they just don't respond. Yes, Glenn Callender. I gotta reach out to him. He seems like a fun guy. He's kind of had some controversies with some of my friends a little bit, and so I haven't reached out to him, but I should. I'm a fan of his work. I think it's a great approach. Um, Positive information is so much easier to spread than negative information, and he's very positive, as are a lot of intact guys. I think it's an underutilized resource. Um, has anyone ever attempted a class action lawsuit? Is it possible? I don't think anyone has that I'm aware of. Um, I'm hesitant. I was thinking about this recently. You know, there's a tobacco lawsuit a few years back. There's $200 billion and it was successful. But that was after um, I think more awareness was kind of present. I think if we tried to do it now and it failed, then it would be harder to do it again. So I think we want to wait to the right time. There is a site up right now associated with Foragen, but not by Foragen, called circumcisionisafraud.com. Check it out. It's a great site by Adam and Shingo Levine. Adam and Shingo Levine are uh, sort of like consultants to activism. They just joined the movement in the past few months. They're incredible. They're helping Foragen develop a new content creation strategy, and they're incredible. Check out circumcisionisafraud.com. Share your story, register. There may be a class action lawsuit soon, but I do think we have to have the right momentum in the movement for the class action lawsuit to be successful. I think it's possible to win trillions of dollars. Actually, they said billions. I think that's not ambitious enough. And I think the problem with doing a lawsuit right now is that we might have a lawsuit and be like, okay, fine, you get $5 billion, you get $10 billion, and it's like, okay, the lawsuit's done. Now you can't do another lawsuit and sue the same people for the same thing again. And if there isn't enough awareness of what genital mutilation actually is, like a really profound and deep awareness, and we try to sue them right now, then the problem might be that we only get a few $1 billion when really a few trillion would be justified. I think the actual amount that would be justified is between 10,000 and 100,000 per man genitally mutilated. So 100 million times 10,000 would be 1 trillion. 100 million times 100,000 would be 10 trillion. So between 1 trillion and $10 trillion would be justified, in my opinion, in the United States alone. I mean, in a sense, 100 trillion would be more justified because that would be $1 million per man, which would really actually, to me, be like, okay, you know, as a genitally mutilated man, it kind of ruins your whole fucking life. But $1 million would be like really fucking nice and kind of compensate for it. You know, there's no number that truly compensates for it, but $1 million would be like, okay, I feel like society has recognized this for the actual thing that it is. Even if we can't really expect them to give us, you know, what it's really worth, which is $1 billion or $1 trillion per man, you know, something like that would actually make sense. But you know, that's just not going to happen because there's not that much money in the world. So $1 million per man would be more realistic, but probably not even that. Probably $10,000 to $100,000. Right now, I think if we did it, we'd end up with probably only a few $1 billion for all victims put together, and that might not even be enough to regenerate the human foreskin. I don't know. That could be tens of billions or hundreds of billions or trillions. I believe that it might be a bigger challenge than some of us have acknowledged. I don't really know. It's hard to say. But I think I would rather have the cultural revolution come before the class action lawsuit so that we can get the money that we actually deserve. Um, That's my opinion on that. We are all spiritual beings in physical bodies living in a divine universe. You know, for most of my life, I've been really into New Age stuff. Now I'm kind of cynical and and anti-New Age. But yes, we are. I don't know how that related to anything, but um, sure. I don't know. I don't know. How did that relate to anything? Tell me, and I'll respond better to it. I like meditation and I like spirituality, but I don't know what you're implying. I think I read on a Discord the other day somebody's going to try a class action. That's probably circumcision is a fraud. That's probably the same guy as Adam and Shingo. Maybe it's someone else, but a lot of people say a lot of things. Like, you know, I'm sure hundreds of people have said they're going to do a class action lawsuit, and 99% of them have not actually done anything because that's what people do. But if it's like a real thing that's actually happening, I'm curious and I'd love to hear more about it. You know, I've heard about dozens of circumcision documentaries and lawsuits and all these exciting things that are happening, but most of them never materialize because actually doing something is a lot fucking harder than saying that you're going to do it. Wasn't Foraging supposed to be around 10K USD? It should be free when it's available. It should be, right. So $10,000 per man, if that was the lawsuit, would cover the surgery alone. But it wouldn't actually cover developing the surgery, which will be millions or possibly billions or possibly trillions of dollars. So if it was $100,000 per man, then that would cover, that would be $10 trillion, which would cover the surgery for every man, plus the surgery, even if it cost $9 trillion to develop. But really, even if it was just a $20,000 per man lawsuit, that would be $2 trillion, which would cover the surgery plus $1 trillion for developing the surgery. I don't know. These are my thoughts. I think this is important. I don't know why I haven't heard anybody else talk about this. Maybe it's because people don't think about numbers very much. I love numbers, and I'm very good at math, so I think about these things in concrete terms. At the moment, it's not even possible to regrow a human foreskin, which really underscores that the foreskin is essentially priceless, infinitely valuable, says Gregory Malchuk. Yes. At the moment, I suppose you could say that. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't like infinity. As I just said, I like math, and I think infinity is kind of a very sketchy concept. I think pleasure is quantifiable, and perhaps foreskin pleasure is so much greater than any other kind of pleasure that that you can't violate it and have any kind of compensation for it that's truly meaningful. So in that sense, it's beyond value. But I don't know if infinitely valuable is quite the right word. I don't know. Between the ages of 0-7, our minds are running on autopilot. We must brainwash ourselves before the world brainwashes us. Communication is the key. Interesting. I'm still not quite sure how this relates to intactivism. It has a lot to do with human rights. Yeah, I mean, certainly I've definitely, you know, it's very true. Genital mutilation is a form of brainwashing. It really warps your mind. It does some really fucked up shit to people, especially sheeple. You know, people who don't have a particularly strong mental or moral self. It really fucking warps you in some crazy ways. I don't know if that's what you are talking about, but Greg says, I'm honestly pretty much over the Foragin method at this point. I'm working with people on splicing the axolotl regeneration genes into a virus to embed it in lab mice and see if limbs grow back. Axolotl. I don't know what that is, actually. Sounds interesting. I'd have to hear more details on your thoughts about that. Um, yeah, foraging at the very least is a beacon, right? I don't know if it's going to be if the method is going to work. That's why I say it could be $1 trillion. The current method, uh, as far as I know, could possibly only be a few $1 million. That's kind of the goal, right? Is to achieve this within like I don't know $5 million or something. And maybe that'll happen. You know, maybe we will achieve it, and it'll be as easy as we are thinking and saying it is. Uh, it's totally possible. But it's possible that that won't work, and we'll have to try dozens or hundreds more. You know, it'll take massive advances uh, in regenerative medicine. I don't know. I really don't know the literature well enough. It's just it seems suspicious to me that it would be so easy. I think it could require literally dozens of different labs all working on this simultaneously through multiple different methods. Um, I know of at least 2 different methods. Sounds like you're noting another one. I think there's a lot of different methods in regenerative medicine from what I've heard that are slightly different. And I think there are a lot more that we haven't thought of. I'm not a regenerative medicine specialist, but I know it's involved in massive innovation. I am an innovation specialist, I would say. And so I know that innovation can be extremely expensive and require massive multi-billion dollar or many billion dollar, even trillion dollar labs, such as Bell Labs. Look up Bell Labs. For most of the last century, it was the biggest organization in the world and invented the transistor, lasers, and like 10 other things that cover satellites. Like basically every technology that we use today was invented by Bell Labs. And I think we could have something similar in the field of regenerative medicine that creates all different types of regenerative medicine that makes humans immortal. In other words, prevents aging and reverses aging, and does a number of other things that would be pretty cool that I think are well within reach within the next few decades, actually, but will require multi-trillion-dollar investments to achieve. Um, Axolotls are salamanders that grow back limbs, tails, organs, eyes, and brain tissue, and the regeneration is seamless. It happens on site on the salamander, no microsurgery. Um, is that the electricity method? The guy who's studying how to like use bioelectricity to try to activate regeneration through electricity? Because that one I know we've looked into before and is definitely interesting. It's kind of a little bit fringe, actually. If that's what you're talking, I don't know if that's the same thing that you're talking about, but there's a guy who's exploring electricity as a method of regeneration. It's pretty fucking cool, but it's been at it for at least a decade. I mean, I remember hearing about it back in 2012, and we did try to contact him, I think, at one point, a long time ago. I have fallen in love with Audible books. I've been listening to several books on how to get anyone to agree with you. This must be a number one goal. Good point. Sounds good. Sounds like a good book to read. Yes, I love Audible. I just got 24 new credits because I have the yearly subscription because it's cheaper if you do it every year. No, these salamanders, from Greg, no, these salamanders already have the natural ability to regrow organs. There are time-lapse videos on YouTube where you can watch their limbs growing back. Okay, yeah, maybe it is different. I mean, this guy, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's the same thing, but it sounds like this is reactivating a gene somehow